everything about you.
Hey, what's up?
Welcome to the podcast, Dewey. Thanks for doing this. I really appreciate it.
No, I think we're gonna have a good time. I love doing these.
Yeah. So, first of all, before we get started, where can people find you?
As far as social media
Yeah,
outlets, or just
not your
wherever?
house address.
Okay. Well, I'm the nutcase at the front of 6-Star Motorsports, so I'm really easy to find there. So 6starmotorsports.com. You know, our phone number's all over the place. You can look up 6-Star Motorsports on Google. That's my day job, is selling parts. And then I moonlight as a race car driver of sorts. I do a lot of time attack stuff and things like that. And I run a YouTube channel called Go Faster Suck, which we have a presence on Facebook and Instagram and obviously YouTube and wherever the hell else anybody will listen to us. And soon we're going to be doing a bunch of live casting stuff with that too.
I'm excited because not a lot of people live cast automotive stuff.
No.
And I think I've watched a couple of your Facebook stuff that you like live cast. You've actually sort of like found a way to like make car stuff live castable. Besides like just like casting a race, obviously, but
wait till you see the concept I'm about to attempt.
Oh no.
Have you ever seen Space Ghost Coast to Coast? Like back in the day?
No.
Okay. Think of like a Jay Leno style show.
Okay.
I want to do like one once a week.
Yeah.
That I'm actually building my basement out to have a studio for it.
Oh wow.
And then I'm gonna be able to bring people in on Skype, and I'm gonna run it like a late night show. I might even wear a tie. Like,
you might wear a tie.
Yeah.
That's big stuff.
It could be rowdy.
I don't think I've ever seen you wear a tie.
Dude. But it could be great, and we're setting up this really badass blue screen, so it'll look really neat, and like I'll be able to. It's gonna be cool. I'm telling you, it'll be really fun to watch, and I want to do it like a weekly show like that.
That's the thing that I've picked up. First of all, the only thing I don't like about your channel is that you don't film more.
Yes.
Obviously, I know it's a time restraint and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like, literally, I love the videos that you guys have been putting out. Like, it's been awesome. But it actually, like, it's entertaining. It's entertaining to watch, and I feel like that's, like, lost on a lot of people is that they don't make it entertaining.
I think one of the problems we have with a lot of, especially people doing social media with time attack in general, is it's just all, you know, rainbows and sunshine and unicorn farts and everybody's just having a great time and nothing ever breaks and nothing's ever wrong and everything's just working out. And even if it does go completely disastrous and people know it went disastrous, they're still always like, oh, we're having a great time and we still did this. And that's not our channel.
You're talking about a track day full of Camrys?
Yeah. So, the track day full of Camrys does not exist. Everybody's car has issues. And one of the things I wanted to do when we started Go Faster Suck was make sure that we really showed the good and the bad.
Right.
And I've had to tell Justin, who is one of the guys who runs around and films for me, and also my buddy Andrew, which we call Warranty, when he's filming me, that even when I'm pissed, you have to film it.
Right.
Like, and I'm gonna get livid. A perfect example is my video from last year when it was the last Gridlife round. I ended up losing my record to Spaz on the very last session, and it all happened from something I 100% could have prevented. And it still burns me to this day that I could have prevented it.
Right.
If I would have just taken an hour out of my time, but I'm like, it'll be fine. And, you know, I learned I should listen to some of what I preach, and I don't. And I burn myself. I make myself an example of what not to do more often than not. And I hope somebody learns from that.
Right.
So
I think that's a huge thing, sort of the yin and the yang, and that's what I really liked about your videos is that they seem like really raw and authentic, and like it. I mean, like obviously you're like talking to the camera, but it doesn't like feel like you're talking to a camera.
That's I want it to be like I'm just hanging out with whoever's watching this.
Yeah.
You know, and that's I had a really crazy concept for a video a few nights ago that it's probably going to dig into more of like my weird inner psyche about certain things. It might be a little more artsy than people are going to be willing to play with, but we'll see how it goes. But that was the goal. Is I didn't want I didn't want unicorn farts.
Right.
Okay, that's not what I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to sell unicorn farts. I want to show you what this actually is. What does it take to run at the top of, a legit time attack class in this country? And it's not easy. And I have a lot of help, and it's still not easy.
So let's talk about time attack. What got you into racing? Because I know every Gridlife event I go to, every track day, your name is always brought up. Your name is always there. So what started that?
It's kind of funny. So I've Forza. I know this is gonna sound stupid. Forza is really what got me into this whole thing. So I started in a Forza league back when Forza 2 was shit hot and just hitting.
350Z on the cover.
Yes,
I know it well.
That old. Okay, so we started a Forza league that was based off of a NASIAC form. It was on the NASIAC forum, so the North America Subaru Impreza Owners Club. It was in the off topic. We started this Forza league that started way back then. Nobody even uses NASIAC anymore, but that's where this whole thing started. And it's still going to this day. But that league was intense. And I learned a lot from that. I've been to a track day or two way back in the day, back with my old WRX. I knew a little bit. I had a good idea on how to drive. I could heel toe and things like that. But
right.
There's a lot of... There's a difference between knowing how to drive and being fast. And that, honestly, with having a wheel and everything else, made me fast. And I'm not trying to, say I'm some, god of driving, but I'm not slow, at least. I may not be on the bleeding edge of the best drivers, out there. I'm no Tomo, and I don't claim to be Tomo. Honestly, Jackie Ding is a better driver than me. I will wholeheartedly admit it. But I can at least fix my own car. But I can make it confidently around a racetrack and lay a time down that isn't terrible.
Right.
And so I knew I could drive. I just really didn't have the opportunity. I started working for TH Motorsports a while back, and TH Motorsports was a sponsor of Gridlife, one of the early on. So they were the owner of Gridlife, Chris, and the owner of TH Motorsports, Eddie, were friends, and Eddie would bring in all of us to go to Gridlife, and if we wanted to drive, he'd get us tickets and just make it happen. Well, I was kind of reluctant because I personally didn't have a car to drive. But my girlfriend at the time, who was now my wife, did. So I'm like, hey, I'm going to borrow your 05 STI for this weekend, and we're going to do some basic modifications to it. So we're gonna fix some injectors and put it on top feeds and E85 so it's good and safe, and just some basic stuff. And then Graham and I, who happened to be in town from tuning that weekend, he was out here tuning. He was living in Iowa at that time, and he'd crash at my place.
Yeah.
He's like, dude, let's go and do this thing. We'll just co-drive your car. I'll tune your car. We'll put all this stuff together and let's just go. So I ended up showing up a day late, and him and I still drove for 2 days. Had an absolute riot. And that was the first time on track since my insane amount of time in Forza. And it translated really well.
Really?
I was significantly faster. It took me a little bit to learn Gingerman, but, I mean, I don't want to say anything bad against Graham because it wasn't his car, so I can understand why he wouldn't push it, but I annihilated Graham. And I was running right out of the gate pretty damn competitive times to the guys in Street Mod even, with a car that was pretty damn close to stock.
Yeah.
So we had a riot. Straight out of the gate, had a total riot. And Eddie's like, yo, if you want to go to more of these, just let me know, and we'll try to make it happen. And so then Autobahn came up, and I went to Autobahn, and that was a total riot. And I drove at Autobahn, and these guys started to know me as the guy from TH, it's this nut job in a Subaru. And I was only running HPDE, but, we were all having a good time. But I kept looking at my times using Harry's lap timer and going, I could run with these dudes. It really, really came to a head when we went to Road Atlanta, and I looked at my time, and I would have been second at Road Atlanta with the time that I ran in a stock turbo car and in Street Mod.
Jeez.
But I was running an intermediate
Yeah.
HPDE, and I'm like, okay, we need to do something here.
Right.
So Graham had also started bringing his car out. Graham and I both said, okay, next year we're doing the whole thing. We're doing Time Attack the whole year. We're just doing it.
Is this still with the STI?
This was still with the silver STI.
Okay.
So we're doing Time Attack the whole year. So we came out the next year. That was the first time they ever ran Mid-Ohio. We came out to Mid-Ohio. We both entered in Street Mod. The only reason I was in Street Mod is because I was on E85.
Mm-hmm.
So we both entered into Street Mod. I had a stock turbo and some basic modifications, no aero, still a full interior, you know,
Yeah.
it full weight car. Like it really wasn't even thought out whatsoever. Some Fortunatos, like 50,000 miles on them. Like that car was a shit show. Graham was there with upper 500s. You know, if anybody knows anything about Graham's, championship winning, 11 STI sedan, like he won Street Mod that year by a landslide. That was the first year he'd ever done Time Attack.
Yeah.
So he came out and annihilated everybody. And he did it with just gobs of horsepower. Nobody was even ready for it.
Right.
But I ended up getting fourth. I was pissed. Oh, man, I was pissed. I can't even tell you how mad I was. And then I'm looking at the rules, and I'm like, are you shitting me? The only thing keeping me in this class... That's how I learned to read rules, by the way. Oh. The only thing keeping me in this class is the fact that I have E85.
Oh.
So I went to 100 octane and dropped down to HPD Plus, which was what they now call street.
Drops you down?
From E85, yeah.
Interesting.
They will not let you... Well, they do now. Don't even get me started on that. So what I did is read the rules. The rules stated no ethanol. So I'm like, okay, I'll run it on 100 octane instead of 93. What they wanted to do is make the rules say, hey, pump 93. They didn't say that. They just said no ethanol. So, again, learn to read the rules.
Right.
Kids, if I can give you any advice, it's read the damn rules. So I put it on 100 octane because you run a Subaru on 93, beating it that hard, I'm going to put motors in at every event.
Yeah.
So put it on 100 octane, did a couple more tweaks, and if I would have been on 100 octane, which I would have made the same amount of power,
yeah,
I would have won by 3 seconds in HPD Plus. I'm like,
really?
I was so mad. You have no idea. I'm like, all this damn effort, and I don't even go home with a damn trophy. So I come out in HPD Plus at that first Gridlife event, and that's when Spaz and I met. And that was at Gridlife Midwest 2016? Yeah. That's when Spaz and I really started running into each other.
Right.
Because they were separating it by drivetrain at that point. And that's when Time Attack started to get serious for me. And again, this is still in my girlfriend's car. Okay, then
How does she feel about all this, by the way? Was she like supportive? Was she like?
Oh, she's the best, dude. She's actually like the best pit crew you could ever ask for.
Really?
Yeah, she's
That's
the one
awesome.
in between every session. She's torquing my lug nuts. She's checking my tire pressures. She takes tire pressures before and after to make sure everything's.
Right.
She's monitoring all my data for me. I couldn't do it without her.
That's awesome.
So yeah, it's epic.
It wasn't just like a hey, borrowing a car for the
Well,
weekend.
it
again,
started
you know?
as hey, I'm borrowing the car for the weekend, ran out the door, and then she's like, well, if you're gonna drive my car, I'm gonna get involved.
Oh, interesting.
So
okay.
that's kind of really what happened, and I ended up having to buy her a truck, which was kind of because I needed a trailer. What would happen is I take her STI, so I take this STI to these events, and I'd break it in some form or fashion, and then I'd have to figure out how the hell I'm going to get it home.
Right.
So we needed a truck so we could get a trailer so we could go to these events, and if it does break, we could sort it out. But that's when Time Attack got really serious. So I went neck and neck with Spaz for, 2 years, but the 100 octane thing was starting to kill me. It was so expensive. I'm talking I was spending $500 on fuel a weekend.
I don't doubt it.
It was
especially around here.
Oh, just flushing it down the toilet. You might as well just be lighting $20 bills on fire.
Right.
And when you're spending more on fuel than you are on entry fees, there's a problem.
Right.
So thankfully, Gridlife realized this, and then they're like, look, we're either going to have to take away 100 octane or we're going to let people run E85. And I'm like, just let them run E. you have the boost restriction in place already because
Right.
you're only allowed 20% more boost over stock. It's going to regulate how much power you can actually make. I might make a little bit more because I can add a little bit more timing, but I'm not going to make boatloads more. It's not like I can just
You're not
crank
gonna walk
boost.
away from everyone.
No. And so the E85 restriction got lifted this year for street.
Really?
Except I decided to move to street mod already and already had plans in place to get moving up. And that's when Boogeyman happened.
Right.
I was going to modify my old street racing car, which was a 95 Impreza L sedan. And then I knew I needed a cage. I needed a lot of stuff. And what ended up happening is a guy named Brandon Calker who has been doing Gridlife. He'd been doing Gridlife and Global Time Attack in the track mod or limited class is what they call it, depending on where you're at. He already had this really nice caged shell ready to go. And I hit him up. I'm like, yo, man, do you still have this? Or are you still trying to sell it? He'd been trying to sell it for like 6 months. And he's like, yeah. And I'm like, hey, my name's Dewey. He's like, oh, shit, Dewey. Oh, my God, dude. I so want you to have this car. And he cut me a smoking deal on it.
Yeah.
There's no way I could have even put the cage in the car.
That's what's out on the list, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I could not believe how cheap he sold this thing to me for. And that cage is really nice.
Right.
So we bought that shell and started with that. And then I sold off my my old street race car. And that's how that ended up getting built.
Did the 05 STI kind of kick it off like with Subarus for you, or
No,
have you?
My first Subaru, I bought an 02 WRX in 02. I bought it used from a guy who gave me a killer deal because it was post 9/11. I was a Marine, and that's what started it. It was a Bug-Eye way back in the day, and people still remember that car. It kind of got the nickname the Rooster because it wouldn't die. It's like that old Alice in Chains song. So, it went 282,000 miles of hellish abuse. At somewhere around like 230K, I was pretty big into drag racing at that point.
Okay.
If it wasn't for a slipping clutch, I would have got the TD04 record with it, so the stock turbo record.
Really?
It was quick
Yeah.
for what it was. I used to beat the snot out of that car.
Yeah.
And that was the first car I ever took to a track day and a lot of things, and that's what started me in Subarus and the whole Subaru community and things like that.
So what would say, like, what kind of, like, held your attention with Subarus? Like, the engine, or, like, would you say more the community, or just...
Well,
I know a lot of people are, like, flat
what
world,
made me care about the car originally was the whole... One, I could drive it in the winter. The whole concept of a rally car in the street was awesome.
Yeah.
And at that point, I was really far into Hondas. I loved my Del Sol.
Yeah, we were talking about it. It's still up on the screen.
I loved my Del Sol. I had a 94 Del Sol VTEC. I bought from a little old lady with like 200,000 miles on it, but it was mint because it was North Carolina.
Yeah.
And I did all sorts of dumb shit with that car. I street raced with it a lot more than I probably should have, and I paid my rent with it a few times because of street racing, and it basically got me into the car community in a serious way, not just a messing around way. And but then the WRX hit, and I'm reading Sport Compact Car at that point, and they're all like, "This is going to be the future." They're comparing this thing to like Porsche 911 and all sorts of crap.
Yeah.
And I'm like, they're really not that far off, and that was nuts. And the fact that you could go 0 to 60 in 5.2, like nowadays you say that and you're like, well, it ain't all that great, but at that point was insanity.
Yeah,
in
no,
02.
that's still, like, decently quick.
Yeah, an
That's
02
quick.
WRX, 0 to 60 in 5.2.
Yeah.
You can't do it with an 03, but you can do it with an 02 because they put this resistor in the slave cylinder that wouldn't let you dump the clutches hard. So it
Really?
would save transmissions.
Well, it's safe trans. That's interesting, though, that actually, like, the O2's
The O2,
faster.
The O2 is, I think maybe to this day, still the fastest out of the box WRX, other than maybe like a 2011 with the VF52 and everything.
Huh.
They were decently quick out of the box. Again,
Right.
you could run a 14.2 quarter with it.
Yeah.
But 0 to 60, it would fly.
Yeah.
The gearing just worked out for it, and you got everything right. You could get a 5.2 out of it.
Huh.
So the street lighting people was turbocharger, all this stuff, and the fact that I was from Michigan.
Right.
We got boatloads of snow, and it's
Yeah.
all-wheel drive. Okay, this is awesome. I can do everything in this car.
Yeah.
So that's what I sold my soul for that car. I honestly, I was not making enough money to purchase that car at that point, and it was worth it in every way. It was the best stupid decision I ever made. You know, I should have just stuck with Hondas. It would have saved me an assload of money.
Yeah.
But I don't regret it. If it wasn't for that car, I wouldn't be sitting here right now.
Right. Which that's why I kind of want to lead into this, because obviously Six Star is a Subaru place.
That's all we do.
As a S14.5?
Yeah, every once in a while.
Nice.
RB swapped.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. It's a rowdy car.
That looks rowdy. But yeah, that's crazy how you got into that and stuff. And
so I got that car, and immediately it was crazy because the Subaru wave actually started way back when the O2WRX happened, and when you'd wave to somebody, it was like you were in on some sort of inside joke. Like, yeah, I know what you're doing over there, bud.
Yeah.
You know, I see you. But you'd go to a parking lot with your Subaru, so our parking lot meets used to be insane.
Right.
Nowadays,
I remember I started getting into cars sort of towards the end of that.
It was nuts. I mean, we'd fill these and we're talking, Jacksonville, North Carolina. So it is outside of a Marine Corps base, but it's not a very big town.
Right.
It's fairly small. It's like McHenry. You know what I mean? And we would fill the supermarket parking lot. I'm talking the entire damn thing, nose to nose with cars. And but the Subaru guys, we'd end up rolling in, and we all end up parking next to each other, and the community really gravitated towards each other. And then I ended up learning about internet forums and stuff like that, and then NASIOC was really, really tight, and then that just kind of turned into the central hub of the entire world for me was NASIOC. And that's, through that and the knowledge I gained from that and reading sweet Mike Kojima articles out of Sport Compact Car and trying to do things the right way from the beginning instead of being a total tard.
Right. Which I think is the biggest thing I've learned in my time working on cars, just do it right. Just do it right.
Well, and then try not to do dumb modifications. I knew right away a blow-off valve was a bad idea. Things like that. And it's really hard when you're 20 years old not to put a blow-off valve on your car, but it wasn't a good idea.
So, just totally off topic, but not. What's your consensus on blow-off valves? Do you need one or no?
It depends on the car.
Okay,
so let's say an O2WRX. You got a stock O2WRX still using a mass airflow sensor.
Right.
Absolutely not.
Okay.
You need to recirculate that air because the mass airflow sensor reads it, and then if you blow that air off, the mass airflow sensor doesn't know, it's still going to pour the fuel for it. So it runs rich between shifts, makes car stumble, dilutes your oil, all sorts of crap. Now, Boogeyman's running a Turbo Smart, monstrosity, whatever, big whoosh blow-off valve.
Yeah.
I need that because I'm running speed density now. So I read at the manifold.
Right.
So
I just always see it come up oh, you don't need a blow-off valve, or yes, you do.
If you have a Subaru, you don't need a blow-off valve.
Interesting.
Unless you need a blow-off valve.
Unless
you will know when you need a blow-off valve. Your tuner will go, get a blow-off valve.
Okay.
When you're forcing the thing open, or you've switched to speed density and it's time to get quicker shifts.
Yeah.
There is a time and a place for it.
There is. So we were talking a lot about Gridlife. How have you seen Gridlife change over the last 4 or 5 years that it's been going on?
Well, the jerk walking in the door right now, or trying to walk in the door. I told you about Graham showing up.
Yeah.
And then Graham brings his monster street car, which was his. I'm going to do it for track day stuff, but really was it's a street race car that made boatloads of power, and he was using it as a tuning platform to learn how to tune big power cars and stuff like that, because he's a good guy and learns on his own cars and not other people's. So he shows up and annihilates everybody with basically gobs of horsepower.
Mm-hmm. And
Graham...
Terrible driving.
Okay-ish driving.
Medium driving.
The way I put it is Graham was a 5 out of 10 driver with an 8 out of 10 car, and everybody else had 7 out of 10 cars, or 5 out of 10 or less cars, and maybe were 7 drivers. Graham averaged better than them, so it was over.
Yeah.
Time attack is 2 parts. It is a car and a driver. Okay, and if you don't have at least both of those, you're screwed. And you can have a really good car and be a mediocre driver and win.
Right.
You can actually. Graham took what was looked at as kind of an overlooked class, which was street mod, and kicked off a freaking total arms race. It is seriously like Cold War levels of insane spending going on.
Yeah.
The very next year, all of a sudden, people who had naturally aspirated M3s now have supercharged M3s. A guy who thought he was going to run away when Graham showed up had a turbocharged S2000, or sorry, supercharged S2000. Realized that he brought a knife to a gunfight when Graham showed up. People were raging over Graham. Absolutely raging, like, oh my god, how is this car not a track mod car? You know, it's bullcrap, he can be in this class, yada yada yada. They were talking about writing all sorts of crazy rules, whatever. Which is funny because as I developed my HPD Plus car, the class turned into street, as I developed that car, I got within a second of his Gingerman time with a stock turbo.
Interesting.
I drove the wheels off that thing to get that time. But Graham's like record time at that point, which is a record street mod time at that point, I mean, we got really close with a stock turbo 18 psi no aero car.
Yeah.
On the same tires. So everything develops. It's just street mod went through this like rapid development. Now if you look at street mod, if you don't show up with at least 500 wheel horsepower, don't even start your car.
Really?
It is turned into an absolute war zone. And that's why Boogeyman is insane as it is. Because if it's not, I'm not going to beat Sean. I'm not going to beat Sally. I'm not going to beat Jackie, who makes 450, but the car weighs a lot less. And he's Jackie fucking Ding. You know, we have other guys claiming 600 plus in that class now. We've got guys who are bringing these insane, wildly built Mustangs, you know.
Yeah, it's kind of become a rat race.
Oh, it's been insane. But what's really crazy is, so I say this in this insane arms race, and everybody went nuts to go after this class, because people are dropping down from other classes to come contend in this street tire class. At Autobahn this year, that just went by, we had 8 cars within a second on South. 8 street mod cars within 1 second. The NASA guys will complain all the time about, oh, they should do power to weight classes and all this shit, yada, yada, yada. With power to weight restrictions, they can't get that kind of parity.
No.
We have a an absolute wide open rule set within street mod. It's very, very basic rules, keep you within a certain area, and we're all within a second. Good luck trying to write rules to get 8 cars within a second.
Yeah, that doesn't happen.
F1 can't do that. So, I think we have the best class in Time Attack right now.
So where do you see it going, though? Couple years.
The thing is, I don't know how much further we can develop.
Right.
Now, what you are seeing, and this is a problem, and people are seeing this as a problem, is other than like a couple of outliers like Luke McGrew or Jeremy Swenson, these really crazy track mod cars, and obviously you got the Will Youngs of the world and James Houghton's and stuff like that, but for the most part, that pile of 8 street mod cars, we're all faster than everybody else in track mod.
Right.
And so they're looking at this going, what the hell is the point in track mod? So there's rumors of either trying to make track mod faster, which they did by changing the tire rules. It used to be 100 tread wear, now it's 60.
Okay.
Global Time Attack took one step further and said you can put sequentials in your car now.
Really?
Mm-hmm. So they're allowing people to do more to their track mod cars, or limited cars.
Right.
But there is talk about trying to split street mod into something. I don't know. I don't think they should touch it. I think it'll take the right person to make a track mod car, you know, that...
Yeah.
To exploit it a little bit to make it entertaining for people.
Right. Isn't it split currently between front wheel, rear wheel, and all wheel?
It is not anymore.
It's not? Okay.
No. This year, and that was starting this year, it's now just your first, second, third within street mod. Now, the rules are a little different between the drivetrains. Two-wheel drive cars get 285 width tires.
Okay.
Still 200 tread wear, but 285 width tires. And thank God it's 285 and not 295, or we'd have a big problem. I'll explain that in a second. All-wheel drive cars are limited to 255.
Okay.
Which is fair.
Yeah, yeah.
Totally fair.
Yeah.
But if it was 295, if it was 295, they'd be allowed to run the Viper ACR tire, which is the most... RE71Rs are a blatant lie at 200 tread wear. Most people believe they're around 100 tread wear.
Oh.
Okay. I hate the tires. I hate the fact I have to run them. They're phenomenal for 2 laps. And past that, they're the greasiest pile of shit.
Really?
I hate them. But for 2 laps, they're bar none the fastest 200 tread wear tire. Except the Viper ACR tire, which they only make in 2 sizes. 295-19 and like a 355 something stupid rear.
Right, yeah.
So what ends up happening in track mod, and has happened the past couple of years, is you'll see guys cramming a 19-inch wheel under things that you shouldn't put a 19-inch wheel under. Chris Boersma last year was running a 19-inch wheel under an EK Civic.
No, I was literally thinking, no.
Yep, and it's a
Did it look like a
295
donk?
Viper. It did. It looked insane. Okay, it was batshit, but it was the fastest tire.
Yeah.
So everybody ran it. What you're seeing right now in Street GT, which is a class they came up with because the V8 started showing up in Street class and really screwing shit up, they gave them their own class. The Street GT guys are allowed to run significantly wider tires. But guys are foregoing, like, I don't want to run 355s. I'm going to run these 295s. So they're all running 295 Viper ACR tires front and rear. And they're insane how fast they are. They're limited to 200 tread wear. But the Viper ACR tire says it's a 200
Right.
tread wear. Everybody thinks it's closer to a 60.
It's not manufactured by Dodge. Who's
Kumo.
it? Kumo? Mm-hmm. Did they just like see like a spike up in their sales and like what the heck's going on?
They only sell those 2 sizes too. It is
Really?
yeah, and I don't even know where the hell you buy Viper ACR tires because I don't think I can go to Tire Rack and get them. I could
Yeah.
be wrong. Don't quote me on that.
Right, but
But
just
I know
so
my
weird.
buddy who drives a GT350 in Street GT,
Yeah.
which is the V8 class essentially. He's in a GT350 and they run Viper ACR tires all the way around. And he's like, dude, I ran because he was in Street Mod last year due to his tire sizing.
Right.
He's like, I ran RE71s last year, and it's not even close. It is so insane how good these tires are, and they never fall off.
really,
Yep. Yeah, so they run around on these Viper ACR tires that they're grabbing just the fronts off of a Viper ACR. Then you got guys like Luke McGrew, who drives a Viper ACR, and he runs Viper ACR tires. And he's on his stock tires that came from the factory, and he murders people with them.
that's so weird. I wonder like if just someone at Dodge was like, hey, we need like awesome tires for this thing, or just
Oh, it's
like,
totally what they did. Now, if you ever look at what Dodge ran around from track to track, setting a bunch of records, like production car records,
Yeah.
all over the place. They went to probably anybody who listened. Kuma was like, "We'll listen." I think they wanted to put a street tire on the car, so it's something they could sell. So they just
Yeah.
blatantly lied about whatever this ACR tire is and threw a 60 tread wear on there and just went stomping shit all over the place. But if you say, "Hey, we put a 60 tread wear tire on to make these times,"
Right,
everybody's
then
going to go, "Okay, there's an asterisk next to that."
right, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So, that's so.
We
fun.
live in
I
a weird world,
yeah,
man.
I never knew that.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
people run Viper tires.
Viper
That's, like,
ACR
the thing.
tires are the hotness. If you are allowed to run them, in fact, there's this crazy like big money autocross thing going on. I think in Ohio or something. Brad Yonkers is going to it, and they have. If you win it, you get 10 grand unless you run something other than a Viper ACR tire, and then you get 12. So there's actually like a 2 grand bounty to win it, not on Viper ACR tires.
That's insane.
And 3/4 of the people are going have ACR tires on it because there's no way.
Like, yeah, what's 2 grand?
I'll
you
eat
know?
2 grand
Yeah.
to have a better shot at winning 10.
That's insane. That's just a thing I never knew about was Viper tires.
Track mod's really screwed up right now.
How so?
Well, that's because of this ACR thing.
Just because of that?
The 60 tread wear helped it a lot because when they were at 100 tread wear, there was no reason to run anything else. The Viper ACR tire owned all because it's technically 200 tread wear.
Right.
Tread wear ratings are kind of effed up. Okay, we went all way into tire talk.
Oh, don't worry about it.
The manufacturer actually does the tread wear rating. There isn't a universal tread wear rating. The manufacturer says what the tread wear is.
Really?
So everybody just lies. That's why like RE71's a 255 RE71 measures in at like a 275. It's not even close. It's all a lie. Or BF Goodrich with their rivals. If you put a a 245 BF Goodrich next to a 255 BF Goodrich, 255 4017 next to a 245 4017, they're the exact same width. And the reason they do that is if you want to adjust your gearing by putting a slightly smaller tire on it, you can and not lose any performance by just putting a 245 on.
You're literally blowing my mind right now. Last year I learned that not all dynos read the same, and I'm having that same feeling of everything's a lie. What are my tires?
Yeah, what is life, man? That's...
I didn't realize that there wasn't any... I mean, I guess, like, also, like, who's out there regulating tire... Like, there's no tire police. Like,
there should be tire police.
There honestly should be, but
I
don't think we have the budget.
Yeah, I wish Tire Rack would step up and go, these are the actual 200 treadwear tires.
Right.
If I had it my way, if I was running Gridlife Street Mod,
right,
I would outlaw the RE71.
Okay.
I would 100% outlaw it. I would outlaw that, and I would outlaw the Yokohama. The AO 52, whatever, because that's like 99% of the speed of an RE71, but it doesn't fall off as bad. So that would force everybody to run Rivals, 615K pluses. There's a whole plethora of something near 200 treadwear that would be, it would make it interesting again.
Right.
But now, if you look, everybody, and I mean everybody except like one or two outliers because they have tire sponsorships, are running RE71Rs. Everybody. And they have to, because if you don't, you lose.
Right.
I mean, on Gingerman, it's probably worth a second and a half.
Really?
It's that much. But they're only good for 2 laps. You don't get it done in 2 laps, they go like 3 seconds slower.
So are these guys just bring out multiple sets? Like
They just, after they get hot, they get greasy. After you let them cool all the way down, then they're fine again for another run.
So you got 2 laps.
You got 2 laps, get it done. It's a time attack tire.
Yeah.
It really is. And you can tell Bridgestone made it for autocross and time attack. Like, it's the only reason it exists. People who street drive on RE71s are morons.
Okay, what about street driving on Hoosiers? I got into this debate the other day.
Why would you do that? It's flat out dangerous. If somebody spits on the road, you're going to crash.
So my friend street drives on Hoosiers, and we drove up to Gingerman and drove back. He drove it all the way on Hoosiers and all the way back on Hoosiers. And we all got into a debate whether that was smart or not, because he had other tires. That was the thing.
There's a
he had
new idiot
tires.
born every day.
I really like that saying. Oh, man. But, okay, so going back to it, the Viper tires, because this is still blowing my mind a little bit.
Sure.
Have you had, like, experience with them? Do they have, like, decent tread? Like, do they look like normal tires?
They look like normal tires. They're thin, don't get me wrong, but
Right.
it's no worse than an RE71 or anything else.
Right.
Now, I haven't driven on those. I just know the times that guys are getting and the amount of people who are switching to run those. I haven't had anything I could legally cram a 19-inch 295 under. So, I have heard that if you shave them, so you actually remove some of the tread and get it really close to the end, they gain a lot of grip.
Really?
Yeah, but obviously you lose a lot of tread wear. So guys are shaving them because Tire Rack will shave your tires for you. You
Really?
can pay for shaved tires, yeah. So you pay a little extra, they'll shave your tires, and you got one event out of them, and then you throw them in the garbage.
That's so. These are probably not cheap tires, I would have to say.
No, but they're not as insane as you would think. Like those Yokohamas are way more expensive.
Really?
They're reasonable. They're in the same ballpark as an RE71. At the same size.
Such the American way. Just make something good, cheap, and lie about it.
Yeah, and then just lie.
And just straight up lie about it.
Yeah.
I am so mind blown over treadwear right now. It's really kind of annoying.
You're gonna go down the rabbit hole now.
I know. I'm screwed now.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
So what would you say to someone who, like, okay, I come up to you and say, I want to run time attack.
Yeah.
What do
I get
gotta
it
do?
quite a bit. I get this question all the time.
All right, let's try to squash that with a recorded form. You can just send them this sound bite.
We're gonna smash this down as simple as I can. A lot of it's gonna be, first off, what car are you driving? And that will really, the reason I'm gonna ask them that is because I want to know what kind of running costs you're gonna be looking at for this vehicle. I'm not gonna lie. I deal with Subarus. I know a lot about Subarus, and I will be the first one to tell you, running a Subaru to get started is expensive. These are not cheap cars to start with. They're good cars to start with.
Right.
They're not cheap cars to start with. Subarus have their issues. We figured most of them out. The problem is nobody listens, and then their shit blows up and they cry on the internet.
Sounds a lot like the Rotary community.
Exactly
a lot
like the
Rotary
Rotary community and the Subaru community are so intertwined, it's unreal.
Right. Yeah.
But, so if a guy comes and talks to me, Matt Boyd would be a perfect example, you know. I think I've actually had this conversation with him because I keep telling him, dude, do these things, run your car in street.
Right.
You'll be pretty quick. I've got another buddy of mine, Conrad is quick. Conrad is quick, fast enough to where he could run in street class and I think hang. And he's got an NARSX. And he could hang with the street class guys. But he doesn't do it. But either way, what I tell these guys is, one step back, sorry. First thing is, how much seat time do you actually have?
Right.
If you don't have any seat time, what I want you to do is I want you to start going to some of these Gridlife events, or it's kind of hard to do at a Global Time Attack event, but go to a couple events, go to events at tracks you know some of these are going to be ran. Run Harry's lap timer. You know, don't kill yourself to get lap times, but see kind of where you fall.
Right.
And get an idea where you land. And then read the damn rules. Read the rules, read the rules, read the rules. And there's a really good way of reading the rules. Adrian Newey, he's a car designer for F1 teams.
Yeah.
Awesome book if you ever get a chance, called How to Build a Car.
Okay.
I cannot read this enough. But he'll tell you, you read the rule book 3 times to see what it says. And then you read it 300 more times to see what it doesn't. And didn't do all that. Do everything that rule book doesn't say.
It makes sense.
That's what that whole car is.
Yeah.
It's all play in the gray. So,
which I definitely want to check out.
We'll definitely go check out the car. But either way, read the rules, see where your car sits, figure out what you want to do with it. Put the car in the lowest class you can cram that thing in, and because it's going to give you your best shot. A lot of guys they keep trying to prep to do something and they never actually get to the track. Go to the damn track. Seat time is more important than mods by a long shot. You can mod later. You need seat time now. You only have so much time in your life to get seat time.
Right.
You have all the time in the world to mod.
Right.
You know. So get seat time, get seat time, get seat time. But to start out with Time Attack, I try to tell people, don't over-mod your car because it's going to put you in a crazy-ass class. Read the rules before you mod your car.
Right.
Don't mod your car to how you think you want it and then figure out where it falls. Graham got extremely lucky. I read the rules for his car and not mine. I'm a moron. So he almost went and did track mod because he just bought some 265 tires and he's like, oh, I'll just pull my interior out and I'll be fast in track mod. I'm like, you don't have a prayer in track mod.
Right.
Just downsize your tire. You don't have to change anything. Leave all your interior in. You are set up for street mod. You will annihilate them. And that's what he did, and he ended up winning the championship. If he would have went in track mod, he wouldn't have even podiumed.
Right.
You know, and that worked out really good for him. If I would have read the rules the same way, I would have changed one small thing, been an HPD plus, and I probably would have ran away with that championship that year.
Yeah.
But that's my fault because I'm a moron.
It is what it is. But yeah, I mean so what chassis would you, let's say I have no car, I have a sum of money, what chassis would you recommend?
The right answer is not a Miata.
Really?
Yes, it's not. Now, going to a track to have a very good time and learning the basics and learning how to drive, yeah, a Miata is a great... If you can fit in a Miata, unfortunately I can't. If you can fit in a Miata, it's a great idea. An EG Civic, 90s Hondas, they're easy to maintain. You can beat the shit out of them. If something does break, it's $50 fix. Who cares? Right. Great idea.
But for longevity...
If you're looking to be competitive, I want to go buy something and be competitive.
Right.
Start with something that isn't competitive, learn how to drive the damn thing. But if you've got a pretty good handle on how to drive, buy a Vet. Buy a C6 Vet. There is a build in any class you can fit a C6 Vet in. There's a build that could win that class. A C6 Vet is devastating.
Really?
I am blown away we have all not got annihilated by a C6 Vet in Street Mod yet. You can make 600 wheel with that thing.
Yeah.
It is the perfect shape. It'll never break. 285s, it'll gobble right up, no problem. And there's piles of aftermarket for it. It doesn't weigh shit. It's the perfect, and you can get a C6 Vet. You start with a base model, which is the way you really want to go because you get an LS3 with it.
Yeah.
And you just murder. Now, nobody's going to do that because they don't want to be the guy in jorts and frickin' New Balances. So you're going to follow your passion whatever way you want.
Right.
Okay, so you really have to think about things like weight, how moddable is this car, what are my paths, and if you don't know, talk to somebody who does.
Right.
Go to some of these events, especially Gridlife events. Everybody's really open. Talk to them.
Yeah.
Talk to the people with that type of car. I'll tell you everything that I've ran through to, make
Comment
this thing
on
work.
a Go Faster Suck video.
Yeah, it's all on a Go
questions.
Faster Suck video, and hit me up in the comments. I am more than happy to answer. PM me, whatever you got to do. That's what I do all day long. That's my job is to sit here and answer questions and then point you in the right direction, and then hopefully if I can sell you some parts on the way through to, and if it works out, then that's what happens.
Right.
That's my job.
It's funny you mentioned a C6 Vet. It is the only car that has genuinely terrified me during a review. I drove a Z06.
Yep.
They're terrifying.
They are no joke. That is out of the box an absolute nut job car.
So in the video, I do a pull, and I'm in first gear. Starts to get a little sideways.
Sure.
So I'm like, okay, grab second. It goes more sideways, and I'm like, oh.
Yep.
You see in the video, I go, oh well. I always say, that's the one car that I was too scared to bring it to Redline. Some of the reviews I do, I can't bring them to Redline because they're 90s horrible cars that are rusty. This one, he's like, dude, bang gears, do whatever you want. I'm like, no.
yeah. I don't want to wad this thing up.
Yeah, I don't want to die. But that's interesting that you say a Miata not for time attack, because I feel like everyone's always like, Miata's the answer. And
Miata's the answer to go learn how to drive a car.
Right.
It definitely is. And the old saying goes, and I remember I did not say go buy a Vet and learn to drive it.
Right.
I said buy a Miata and learn to drive. You will learn more from driving a slow car fast than a fast car slow.
Right.
Every time. So start with a slow car, learn how to drive, learn how to maintain speed, learn how to use your brakes the right way, learn how to maintain your car, learn the basics on a slow, easy to maintain pile of shit.
Right.
Then start looking into something faster if you need to move up. But what ends up happening, like a lot of us, this is why Subarus are my life, honestly, is you kind of fall in love with your car. You know everything about that car. And you're like, if I just did this, I could probably be as fast as that. And then you get to that point and you're like, if I just did this, and then you blink and you're James Houghton. Like, that's really... James will tell you all about it. He started with a basic Integra Type R doing basic time attack stuff, and now look at that damn car.
Yeah.
And that was all, well, if I did this, I'd be here.
Right.
And if I did... And it just gradually turned into honestly one of the fastest, if not the fastest, door slammer in the country.
I wonder how much money has been spent on that one saying, if I just did X, Y, and Z.
What's really crazy is every time you spend money like that, for a little while, it'll be you'll only spend that much money and you'll go up a little bit.
Right.
But what'll end up happening the further up you get is you'll spend the money and it'll actually undo money you spent earlier. So you'll end up re-spending a lot of money. A lot of these time attack cars, if they were to wad them up, they could get to the point that they were at significantly cheaper than learning to get to the point they were at if they wanted to rebuild it.
Which is interesting why you said you started off on Forza. I think one of the negative things of Forza is, the most expensive part, that's the best part.
Exactly.
And it's always the most expensive one is the best car.
It is so
it's not true
that way in the world.
So it's interesting when you said that Forza started it all. It's normally
one of the nice things about Forza racing with your friends and racing in the community that we had, though, was we had very limited series rules that we would run. So you'd only be allowed to run a certain, 5-6 different cars, and only certain modifications were allowed with certain tires and stuff. And it would really teach you how to pick and choose what you were trying to do to make stuff work.
And how to get good within bounds.
And that's one of the reasons. My favorite class still to this day, and my favorite car I've ever owned, is still the 05 STI that I stole from my wife.
Right.
I love it. And
you still have it, by the way, or no?
Yeah. It's actually being fixed by the lovely folks at Al's Auto Body 2.
Nice.
And they're Cal Fortner and his parents reached out to me and saw how ugly the car was, and I've been hanging out with those guys at Gridlife events forever and trying to help them out, and they're like, yo, dude, just bring the thing by. We'll take care of it. So they're taking care of it for me, and they're giving me an absolute bang-up deal on fixing it. And he comes really highly recommended, so that's going to get sorted out.
Was this the STI, by the way, that was in the Gears and Gasoline video?
Yes, it was.
Because I had that image in my head, but I wasn't quite sure if that was
the one with the big
someone else.
Band-Aid and all that crap.
Yes.
That Band-Aid happened because I went off at Blackhawk Farms and smacked a wall with it.
I have yet to get out to Blackhawk Farms.
It's
I
a
really
sketchy
want
track.
to. That's what everyone's been saying.
Sketchy. It's fun, but it's sketchy. There's
Yeah.
trees right next to the damn track.
Yeah.
Yeah,
My friend...
they've never lost a fight.
My friend sent it off a track in a Miata last year, a gray Miata, just
Okay.
somehow avoided the trees.
You gotta learn
But,
somehow.
Yeah. But, so what was it, just talking real quick, what was it like working with the Gears and Gasoline guys? Those guys are
Oh,
awesome.
the G&G dudes are the best. Ben and Ben, I love those cats. Every time I see them, I try to take some time and make sure I hang out with them a little bit.
Yeah.
Actually, at Colorado, short Subaru Ben proposed to his now fiance up on Pikes Peak.
That's awesome.
Yeah, dude, they're just great dudes. They're super professional. They're extremely good at what they do. They had never really had somebody like me, though. Even still to this day, they were interviewing me at Colorado.
Yeah.
They just put the mic on me and then go, do your thing. And
Yeah,
I just sit
talk.
there and rant.
I have to say, you're probably one of the easiest podcast guests I've had yet.
You don't got to hold my hand.
Yeah. But, no, I actually emailed them asking if they wanted to come on the podcast for round 4, and they didn't come out for round 4. But they're like, next time, like, you're in our area, like, come on. I'm like,
they
dude,
do it in a
awesome.
heartbeat. And,
Yeah.
and they're super down to earth,
Yeah.
really cool people. I highly recommend not only checking out their channel, definitely subscribe to those cats. Definitely subscribe to Go Faster Suck also.
Yes.
But talk to those guys.
Yeah.
And they're super approachable. By no means has any of this went to their head. They're super
Yeah.
talented. If you have questions about how to get into this, what type of equipment and things like that you need, talk to them.
Yeah.
They're the best guys to talk to.
Yeah. I saw him at, it was Autobahn last year, so 2018.
Sure.
I saw him there, and I was actually a little starstruck. I was like, and I wish I would have said hi. I never said hi.
Oh, dude.
I saw him walking around.
Super,
I was like,
super cool. Yeah, just go chat with them. I get that way when I meet. I've met Mike Kojima like 5 times now. Like the first 3 times, I couldn't even make a coherent sentence.
Mm-hmm.
That man is like a god to me. And now I talk to him, I'm still like, I'm making semi-coherent sentences.
Yeah.
I've met everybody, dude. I've met Ken Block, Travis Pastrana, all these dudes. I've talked to them, I'm just like, oh, hey, what's up?
Yeah,
Yada,
yeah.
yada, yada. And I'm totally fine. Meet Mike Kojima, who nobody but like me and like 3 other people would really know. I can't even make a coherent sentence. You swear to God I met the president or something. Like, I'm just...
talking about Autobahn, though,
Yeah.
another debate.
hate that track.
I was just about to say, what's north or south?
I actually prefer North, and I'm the weird one.
I was just about to say, I prefer south, but
Most people prefer South. I like North. I like the way North flows. I can get a ton of laps in.
that's fair.
I don't know. I just like the rhythm of... I like the rhythm of North better. I feel like South is a whole pile of artificially annoying corners specifically designed to fuck you up. There's no flow to
Interesting.
it.
Interesting, because
Yep.
my friend Jake, who races Civics, I don't know if you know him, has orange headlights.
Okay.
He loves South, and he's like, I get such a flow going on South that I can't find on North.
There is no flow in South, especially through patience. Everything that you kind of had flow, it's straight out the window.
Yeah, it's
like the whole
definitely-
back
yeah.
section of South is crap. I hate it. Absolutely hate that track.
Really?
Yep.
That's so
I
interesting.
agree.
Oh,
Really?
There you go. I just if I had the choice between Gingerman or Autobahn, I'll take Gingerman every single time.
Really?
Every single
Even
time.
Autobahn full.
Even Autobahn full. I'll take Gingerman every single time.
Why?
There's a few reasons. One, I really like the flow with Gingerman.
Yeah.
Okay, Gingerman's an easy track to drive. It's a hard track to master.
Interesting. Okay.
And you can go 11 tenths on Gingerman. You can totally overstep your bounds. And the only spot you could ever hit anything hard is 11. And you have to really mess up to hit something on 11. Other than that, you can go so hard and get away with it. So you learn a lot.
Yeah.
Adam Jabay hates Gingerman for that reason with Time Attack guys, because we don't hold back for anything. So we are constantly launching ourselves off the track.
Yeah.
We cause a lot of yellow and black flags due to it.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, I have video. We went up there, July 7th? My friend Andrew Steen, I don't know if you've ever met him.
I don't know.
He's friends with Mike.
Okay.
He drives every car like he stole it.
Yeah.
And he comes
right
off
answer.
every single lap, and it's so fun. But there's no consequences. I
There's-
have a video.
Gingerman has 0 consequences.
I have a video, in-car video from a car behind him, my friend in a spec Miata, and Steen just dirt drops, kicks a huge, like, cloud of smoke, and then just gets off the track, gets back on, nothing happened. Like, it's such a forgiving track.
It is.
In
and
that way,
It's
at
my favorite track to stick a beginner on, too. Because, like I
Okay.
said, it's easy to drive, it's hard to master.
Right.
So, you work on a lot of basics on Gingerman, and it'll net...
Yeah.
You know, it'll net extreme gains. Things like looking ahead, if you don't do that on Gingerman, you can see it in the time.
Yeah.
You know, if you can see the data from that, you can actually see when somebody's not looking ahead by how they're driving.
So why would you say it's hard to master, though, if it's an easy track?
Because the 789 complex, if you know what I'm talking about, especially the 89 complex,
Yes.
it is. I learn something new every time I go there about that.
Yeah.
10, how you approach 10, you learn a ton. How you approach 2, you learn a ton. You can drive around those corners fine and actually feel like you got your shit together. And then you'll look at somebody in an almost identical car and they're doing it significantly better and they're blitzing your ass by a second and a half in one corner.
Happen.
Yeah.
Two of our friends, NA Miatas, one of them who had been there a ton of times was walking away from the other. Just walking away.
Jackie Dang and I, it's funny because Jackie can lap Gingerman. He can maintain speed around Gingerman better than I can. Following and trying to honestly wheel-to-wheel race with Jackie has it's taught me a lot.
Yeah. I really like Gingerman. I wish I could get out there more. I wish that it was closer.
I still got to work on the livery for the race car a little bit tonight with somebody.
What are you thinking? Are you going to wrap it or paint it?
Wrap it.
Okay.
Wrap it. I'm just going to do a full printed wrap. I'll actually show you a picture, and then we'll see how people react to that. Oh, we'll see how you react, and we'll see what you think of the situation. So it will look something-ish like that.
I like that a lot.
Okay.
I like that a lot.
It's got...
I like the colors. I feel like no one does those colors.
Yeah, no. I'm using them a little different.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to play with some of the stuff and give it a little more edgy feel to it, but other than that, it's...
For sure.
Yeah. When I originally put that together, we started like, okay, let's do this, and we're going to use these colors and whatever. It came out, it looked just like FT86 Speed Factory's Unlimited FRS, and I'm like, we can't do this.
Yeah.
Like, we need to tweak this. It looked like just like it. I'm like, this looks like...
And you got there organically.
Yeah, and I'm like, oops.
Yeah. Oh, well. So, last plug, we'll end up here. Go Fast or Suck.
Yes.
YouTube, Instagram. I mean, is it all the same name?
Yeah, it's all Go Fast or Suck.
Awesome.
And
How'd you come up with that name? It's
I actually kind of stole that from Sport Compact Car. It's there's a whole story behind it, but they kind of coined it a long time ago. But it was Mike Kojima telling somebody, "Go fast, don't suck." So. Like, don't suck and crash into something.
Right.
It was like a last minute thing he told him, like, a driver's ear. And I think I mistranslated it, like, throughout the years. And then I'd wanted to use that name for a long time on something. And then me and Justin started chatting, and that's how Go Fast or Suck happened.
Well, awesome. I really appreciate you coming on the podcast.
No,
Definitely
dude,
go
check
check out Go Fast or Suck. We should do this more. I really like
I'm
sitting
down.
down
Anytime you want to chat, if you want to have, like, the state of Time Attack kind of conversations, I'm down. And when I get this talk show going, maybe I'll bring you on there and we'll
I'd love that.
We'll have a good time.
Yeah,
we'll just rant about random car crap. Because that's all it's going to be is like Dewey's weekly rant.
I'm honestly so stoked for that because just sitting here for this last hour has been absolutely awesome. So
this is my favorite thing to do is just bullshit.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. Definitely check out Go Fast or Suck. I'll leave a link in the description below. Peace out. I guess I'll see you guys next episode.
Till next time, Go Fast or Suck.
Go Fast or Suck.
Aside from my soul.